Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the season finale of Satanic Panic, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything that makes its way out of production hell. I'm Neon Maddie. I'm a neon devil that pink things so terrify, and I'm joined here with.
Hi, my name is Zombie Sleeping. I'm a horror VTuber and failed final girl.
Yay! And today on our season finale episode, we're going to be talking about Hereditary, which is a film directed by Ari Aster in 2018, which goes over a story of a family who has recently suffered the loss of their grandmother, and things just kind of spiral for this family.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get into it. This is my second time watching it. This was my pick for this episode. And I think, Zombie, you said this was your first time watching?
This was my first time watching it. Yeah.
I.
I like Ari Aster stuff. We watched
Mhm,
this is our second Ari Aster film. We watched Midsummer
mhm,
earlier, and
yes.
I've known about Hereditary for a long time. I just never sat down and watched
Mhm,
it.
that's fair. It's funny. I feel like I watched Hereditary first and then Midsummer after. Um, but I definitely feel like both of these movies are really fun to like. I feel like they're so dense, like a rich chocolate cake. There's like so much to like. Probably shouldn't say chocolate
Yeah, I was gonna
cake.
say that's kind of
Sorry,
fucked up.
girl.
I like
Like
sat
a
like
rich.
my body went into like low resolution, and I was like, did she say that?
Did your throat did your throat get thick? Was it hard to breathe?
Who am I with right now?
This podcast has changed you. Who are you? Uh, yeah, this film is like a rich chocolate cake with like nuts in it or something. But I really do think it's
Hello.
really fun. I feel like Ari Aster is really good about having a lot of like details in the background of things that you don't really realize or catch up on your initial watch unless you're zooming in with like your very close eye. So I'm excited to see what you think as it's your first time watching.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but basically, um, the film centers around I can't remember their last names. It centers around a family. It is Annie, Steve, Peter, and Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting how the film starts out as the grandmother, Annie's mother, has just recently passed. Um, and there's a bunch of like strangers up at this funeral. And it's very funny because you see Annie address the crowd at the funeral, being like, there's a lot of strangers here out in the crowd today, but thank you for all for being here. And my grandmother was or my mother was very secretive. Um, but it means a lot that you guys would all be here to support us.
Very tense
And
eulogy. Like, kind of right off the
right,
bat, it does a good job of giving the impression that she maybe not had the best relationship with her mom.
right, because she's very like terse throughout that the whole
Yeah.
speech. That I get eulogy, right? Is that the correct word?
Yeah.
Um, but I thought it's really interesting actually. I feel like the whole film actually has this like it's like a thick tenseness in the air throughout the whole entire film. It like doesn't let up with the sense of anxiety until like maybe like the last 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
where like you finally like you're edged for like an hour and a half until the last like 30 minutes.
Are you okay today? What's going on?
What's happening to you? I had a burger today and I'm feeling good. I ate before the podcast at a full meal.
Do you not typically?
No, usually wait until after. I usually am just running on pure caffeine when I'm doing the podcast. I have sustenance today. I have gusto.
I had one of those, I had a, you know that this is off topic. The blackberry
Who cares?
caffeine things that Duncan has now.
Oh,
The 0 calorie refresher. I have one of those.
was it good?
They kind of taste like Red Bull.
I like the other day Rigel and I were over there and he tried Miss Megan the Stallion's like chocolate refresher and he said he hated it.
No, I haven't tried any of those. Like anything, I don't know. I feel like those protein drinks always taste weird.
Yeah, like they're so like chalky and weird.
Mm-hmm.
Something with chocolate tasting weird. Man, poor Charlie. She keeps on catching stray.
What is with you?
Sorry, you feeling a
Hello?
little spry. I'm feeling spry and spunky today. Um, um,
Weird funeral, like just kind of
weird,
weird vibes the whole time.
weird vibes, and then the family goes home, and it's just really weird right up the bat. Like everyone's just so quiet and tense that entire time. Then they get back after the funeral, and it's very funny how everyone just like disperses. Oh, too, I wanted to mention. Um, I thought the funeral scene was a really good way to like introduce even like the family dynamic because you see like Peter just absolutely like disassociating the entire time,
Yeah.
eyes glazed over. Then you see Charlie scribbling in her notebook, and I think she has this tick throughout the film where she's
Mm-hmm.
like clicking her tongue, and it's so cool how that later builds more and more tension throughout the film because you hear it when she's even not there. Spoilers. Um,
Yeah, I think that's it was a really good way very early on to. I feel like Ari did this with Midsummer a little bit. I'm
mhm.
trying to think of an example where he'll do
But like,
something really early to establish a habit, so
yeah,
that
or like
to,
establish a
and
presence. Yeah.
yeah, and then he'll like do it again later, and hearing it just like causes tension.
hmm I'm trying to think of what that was for Midsommar, but I think I know what you're talking about
I
because
think it
that
was like the
happened
mirror
then.
thing from Midsummer. Like anytime something was reversed or like
Yes.
shown back to you, like that happened a lot in Midsummer.
And that kind of happened in this movie too. There's like a little bit of like the reflection. There was a little nod to that here too. I wonder if like that idea of reflection kind of like carried from this movie to Midsommar because I think this movie came out first, like in the like
Yeah,
in the
this was
timeline, right?
2018.
Mhm.
I don't quite remember
Um,
when Midsummer came out, but this one was definitely first because I remember
mhm.
when I was doing some like behind the scenes research for Midsummer, he talked about when he like filmed
Hmm.
Hereditary. And because Hereditary was so dark, he wanted Midsummer to be lighter.
So cool.
Hmm.
I appreciate like when artists like think about like their whole body of work, like kind of
Kind of like a
like
gallery.
overview. Yeah, like a gallery. Um, but basically this family's fucked.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty realistic like depiction of like
yeah.
because nobody it didn't seem like anyone aside from Charlie was particularly close to the grandma. Like Peter and the
Mhm.
dad share that little moment too in Peter's bedroom where he's like, "You holding up?" and he's like, "You feeling sad?" and he's like, and he's like, "Yeah." Like it's
Man,
complicated. It's especially when you lose someone that like you were close to but maybe didn't
yeah, you weren't
loved but didn't like.
you're close to by like the family tree, but not by like actual relationship.
Yeah.
Um, but I just really right up the bat, I really just want to say Steve was trying to hold it down throughout the entirety of this movie, and I feel so bad for Steve, the dad.
Yeah, Steve was a I really liked Steve right off the bat. And I
Me
think I kind
too.
of did that horror movie thing where I'm like, okay, how's the dad gonna be like all fucked up, right? Because that happens
Right.
every time there's a good dad in a horror movie.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no, Steve is just kind of a good guy.
Right, he's just like he's the one that's like trying to like be like the anchor for the family. Like when Annie is like spiraling and doing her own thing, which I feel like to a certain point is justified, right? Because she just lost her mom and like her it doesn't seem like you said like her relationship with her own mom was very good.
Hmm.
So I think it was respectable for Steve to just kind of like let it ride, let it go, but like try to check in on everybody and just kind of be the stable one in the house. And I feel so bad for him throughout the duration of this movie because I feel like you can see like him try to like hold on to the balloons, but they're all like he's losing his grip like over
Yeah.
time throughout the runtime. But so to kind of cope with her grief, Annie decides that she's going to go to a support group, and she lies to Steve and says that she's just going to go see a movie. And I'm like, what? Can't you just tell your man where you're going? I feel
I
like that
think
would.
it's seems like a pride thing a little bit.
Mm, that's fair. So I think I forgot to mention this too. Kind of similar what I was saying earlier when I was talking about a lot of details in this movie that I kind of missed on my initial watch. I
Mhm.
didn't pick up on the fact that when Annie is kind of doing her eulogy for her mom, she like makes a note to say that there's a lot of like strangers out in the audience, which I feel like from the get-go, from the jump, you kind of know that something is weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that there was a big maybe this is just me. And I think I might have watched this at like one in the morning, which is probably not my best decision on my first rewatch or first watch. There's a big cult undertone or undercurrent throughout this whole movie that makes itself more apparent towards the very end of the movie.
Mhm.
But I think that first moment when she's addressing all the strangers in the crowd, that's like the first moment you notice that something is weird. Something interesting is going on. Did
Yeah,
you pick
cuz
up on that?
it's immediately like how do I it is immediately apparent that something is wrong because it
Yeah.
contradicts what she knows about her mom. She said that she's very
Hmm.
private, very like to herself, very secretive, but like a private person, like having that many people, you know.
Yeah. And it's funny too, um, because later she goes to the grief support group
Mhm.
and she just spills her guts. Annie just spills her absolute guts at first, which is very funny because she like tries to hold it in, but then not even like prompted again. She just like lets loose everything about like her mom, how they like kind of grew apart, but then kind of grew closer together, but then had like a no contact thing for her first child. And then she wanted to quote unquote like give her mom her daughter, which that how that was worded was really strange to me.
There are a lot of times where Annie says something a specific way that I'm like,
Mhm.
that rings alarm bells in my head. She does it a
Right.
couple of times in the movie, like give my daughter. There's a couple other ones that I'll bring up whenever we get to it, but like she talks very specifically at times.
And like almost like objectively, not even in like a mothering way sometimes. She kind of like others her own kids at some points, which like we find out I think a little bit more into her insight later, but it's just just weird from the jump. But she's sitting there, spills her whole guts, and talks about going no contact with her mom. And then when her mom needed more care, she like came into or invited her mom back into her house. And um, I remember there's like a scene where after she just like just trauma dumps. Can you really trauma dump though at a grief
No,
circle though?
that's
I feel
kind
like
of what
that's the
it's
whole point.
for. Yeah, this isn't
Right.
necessarily like trauma dumping. But it's like
Word vomit.
she's doing a good thing. She's
Yeah.
engaging in her community for support. But it's
Hmm.
really interesting that she's doing it in a way that still cuts off the rest of her family, especially Steve, who is very supportive of her.
Yeah, because like I feel like you see Steve the entire time, like try to like check in on her, try to like reach out to her and like be there, but I don't think she is letting him do that. She's like very cut off from him.
And it is like she does talk about how like, it's very clear from like her spiel that she gives at the support group that she does maybe feel like a little bit of an emotional burden to her family. She doesn't
Yeah.
feel like they can necessarily handle like the complexity of the grief that she feels and like how
Yeah.
rough things were with her mom, especially like towards the end of her life, which is
Hmm.
like fair. It's a very
Yeah.
it's complicated, but I feel
Right.
like her ultimately cutting her family out of this entire like making the choice to distance herself from them does have some consequences later.
Yeah. It does. And I think I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like she her behavior kind of goes, or it seems like it's hereditary, or like it's like passed on, because like I think you can see like even like Peter later like kind of shut people out and shut people off too. So it's like an interesting thing of like, did he learn that, I guess, by watching everybody or his family around him?
I think it
But
is one of the big themes here, I think, is that cycle of abuse and
yes,
cycle of grief, and how, like, you may not be as bad as the generation before you, but you're still, like, your bad traits and like the way that you cope with trauma and potentially the trauma you pass off onto your children, it's still like part of that cycle. You may not be as bad as your predecessor, but that doesn't mean that you're not passing trauma onto the people after you.
right, you're still part of the stone rolling down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Like it all like bundles like the big katamari of grief, like rolling into the next person. Um, but I thought it was really interesting at like the grief counseling when I feel like too, like Annie has just been like holding this in, not like because she has been upholding herself from talking to Steve. She like lets it all go, like the floodgates burst open. And I thought it was really interesting how you can see like Joanne like sitting right there next to her. And it's very interesting because she's like wearing like a bright red cardigan. So I feel like your eyes immediately like draw themselves to her, even though we don't really know the importance that she's going to have towards the story until like a little bit later. But I thought that was a very cool detail.
I'm gonna be totally honest. I didn't notice Joan next to her. That's something that
Ah,
totally went over my. I didn't even know that she was sitting next to her. I think I was so focused on Annie that I wasn't
that's
looking at
fair.
anyone else.
That's cool. See, that's why I feel like it's kind of cool. Like, are these movies are really good to like have multiple rewatches because you like pick up on more details as you rewatch them. That's so neat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but after that, her spill sesh,
Yeah.
Annie goes back home, and I'm trying to think. I think that Steve, like, she just goes back home, and Steve is in the living room, and she goes like, "Yeah, just back from my movie," and they like walk back upstairs and continue life on as normal.
Yeah.
Um, but that was very interesting.
This is when he
Hmm.
gets the call that her mother's
Yes,
grave has been desecrated, though,
desecrated.
right?
I think yeah, that happens like a little bit after, and Annie's like, "Hey, like what's going on?" And Steve's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." I think there's a really cool. I really like it in this movie how there's like different, you can see different characters having like their own, like coming to their own conclusions, because I think what Steve experiences is so much different than what Annie experiences, and Peter and Charlie, even though they're all
Mm-hmm.
in the same family, they're all like kind of disconnected in a very interesting way. um
They're all very. I don't know if they're. I think Steve does the most work to keep everybody
yes.
connected. I think
Hmm.
Steve is kind of the tether between
Yep.
everybody, but I don't know. They're all very individualistic.
Yes, like that's a better way to say it. um but we kind of like check in later and see how Peter's doing. I really love, I think it's kind of like a trope in some like movies, media, where when a character's in school, they like have like some kind of lesson that is very like relevant to what the character is going through.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought there was like something very interesting that happened in like the first time we check in on Peter when he's in class. And someone in the background says, because I think I forget what they're talking about in particular, maybe Hamlet. And
I'm not sure.
there's, I'm not sure either, but there's someone in the background that goes, "Oh, it's kind of upsetting actually about Destiny. They're all pawns in this horrible machine," which I feel like is a reference to what happens later in the movie for the family.
Yeah, I like it when stuff does that too. I steal that a lot for like my D&D stuff, like to have
Mhm.
like kind of blanket lessons like that refer to the overall like plot or the message of what's going on, because that is kind of exactly what happens to the family. Like, is it more or less tragic to know that they didn't have a choice in what happened? That
Right.
not that like this was go like even if it didn't happen this way, tragedy was going to befall them. Is it more or less
Right.
tragic that you know that? And I think
I
maybe I'm slightly pessimistic. I do,
mm,
or maybe not pessimistic is the word. I find it less tragic to know that something was going to happen and there wasn't much you could do about it, because at least it's nobody's fault.
that is true. Like,
That's
there's
the
no
way
one, like,
I look at
explicitly
it.
to blame. Which is funny because I feel like I wonder, because Annie, like, says that towards the end of, like, her spilling her guts at the grief session, right? She's like, "Well, I am to blame." Or, not that I am to blame, but I am blamed? And I think she might feel like she's the one, like, carrying the curse to the family, which she kind of is in a way.
But it's not Annie's fault.
It's not Annie's fault.
She's like as much of a victim as as anybody else
Yeah.
is.
I'm more just saying, like, I think she is, like, if she were not here, then her mother wouldn't have been involved, and then her mother, like, it wouldn't have the cards wouldn't have fallen the way that they did.
I think
But I
it's
don't
kind of
think it is Annie's fault.
I think it's kind of implied that this would have happened regardless of Annie, though, because her mother had other children. Her mother had her son, who ultimately committed suicide. Like we find out, committed
Right.
suicide. If it hadn't been
Mhm.
Annie, it would have just been someone else,
That is true.
some other daughter, some other son.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
The other funny thing, or the other cool detail about this movie is what Annie does for work. She, like, is constantly, like, making minis, which is interesting because throughout, like, the whole movie, you can't really tell, like, she's working on these minis both kind of like in a therapeutic, like, processing way, and you can't really tell, like, what she's actually doing, or the minis that she's building for her work versus what she's, like, working on to help with her grief.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the next scene we, like, see her, she's, like, working on these, like, little minis, and I really like how they do, like, storytelling, because, like, as she's, like, doing these, like, the processing of her grief, there's, like, some, like, eerie ass, like, minis that she makes where I think she, like, talks about a little bit after when she's trying to offer, or Annie says that she wants to offer Charlie to her grandmother, and even oh yeah, after Annie is, like, checking in on Charlie and seeing how she's doing, she's like, "Yeah, you know, your grandma wanted to feed you." And I'm like, "Oh, she must have meant, like, with a bottle or
Yeah,
something."
nope.
Nope. I
The
don't wanna
woman
see
had
a
her boob
grandma
out.
boob right in front of me. Nope.
Grandma boob.
Grandma boob. Even then, still, I think, but the tension is still building because Annie goes into her workshop at one point and then thinks that she sees, like, her mom in the corner of her workshop, which she, like, dissipates as soon as, like, the
Mm-hmm.
lights flick on. Ugh. There's so many cool moments like that in this movie. I really, really like it.
Yeah, I think that it does a really good job up to a point where this is so different, but it is kind of like it's comparable to the point I mean, where the boy did this as well. Not the exact same thing, but the same type of storytelling where you can't tell if it's their anxiety, if it's a ghost, like what it is until the drop happens. Because the boy does that. Have you seen the boy?
I don't think I have.
Fuck. Okay, well, never mind. But you don't really understand what's going on in Annie's head, if it's her anxiety, if it actually is like ghost stuff, until like the cult drop start to happen, because this could
Mm,
just be manifestations of her grief.
that is true. And I think that's what makes, like, the movie so cool
Mm-hmm.
because, like, it's almost like an unreliable narrator
Yeah.
because you can't really tell, like, you don't know the depth to which shit's cooked until the very end. Because you can't really tell, like, what is in Annie's mind versus what's happening in reality at first.
I do feel like Annie is an unreliable narrator,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Annie, again, like she speaks very specifically, And like that whole conversation she has with Joan whenever like Joan invites her to come visit her
Mhm.
because Joan like flags her down in the parking lot at one point later in the movie, and they have a conversation, and Annie goes on this big like like explaining her relationship with Peter, and
Yeah.
at one point when Peter and Charlie shared a room, she slept walk and covered them in like paint thinner and was about to set them
Mhm.
on fire, and he's like never really trusted her ever since. And it's
Which I think
like
is entirely fair.
it's super fair, but she keeps honing in this point almost insistently, like she's trying to convince herself that she was asleep while it was happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, because
I
she's like, "Well, I was asleep, obviously. I was asleep." She
obviously I
keeps
was
on repeating
asleep,
it. Yes.
even though Joan has no reason not to believe her.
That's a good point.
So I
I didn't
feel
pick up on
like
that.
Annie tries really hard to convince herself of these things, so that makes me suspicious of it.
Mhm. And we kind of, like, see a little bit of that moment, like, play back a little bit later, but we don't know if it's really her nightmare or maybe Peter's nightmare, but we kind of, like, see that moment, like, replayed before our eyes, which, like, man, that'd be so again, do not blame Peter for being absolutely terrified in that moment,
Yeah.
especially because that's supposed to be your mom and your protector, and that, like, I don't know I don't know, weirdly behavior. Oh, there's also another, moment too of, I didn't pick up on this too on my initial watch, but going back to I feel like I keep on going back to it when Annie is kind of spilling her guts at that first like grief session. She like set like she like shotgun blasts us with so much exposition. But I feel like it's
Yeah.
like a real thing that people do, like especially if like they're not like regularly talking to other people around them and kind of like digesting their grief a little bit. I feel like you get, like hear the "Are you okay?" and it all just comes like bleh, like spilling out. Um,
I agree.
which, mhm.
I didn't really mind the exposition here. There is
Oh
another
yeah.
point in the movie where we get a lot of exposition that I didn't care for.
Oh really?
Yeah, we'll get to it, but like it like stuck out to me a lot.
Hmm.
Where I was like,
I'm
okay,
interested to see what you say. Um, but she like says too that her brother who committed suicide, he was schizophrenic and was accusing his mom of putting other people inside of him, which is another
yeah,
like, huh?
and which is like
Like
kind of why I said the thing earlier about it like not really being Annie's fault. Like if it
that's
wasn't
true.
Annie, her brother would have been like a much more direct, clear path to the goal that her mother had, which is
That is
apparently
very
what
true.
was happening.
Hmm. So I guess it was like that failed attempt number one, but that's
Yeah,
a real person. That sucks. Um, but also forgot to mention this too. When we go back to check in on Peter when he's in class, I really love the shot of him, like kind of up like daydreaming a little bit, and then you see him like his eyes drift to the girl's ass in front of him. like
Peter, like
in
really
class.
early Peter is so textbook high school boy.
Oh yeah. It's
Like
so
he gets the text about like you want to smoke weed after class,
man.
and then like he gets the invite to the party like bring your dick. What the
Bring your
fuck does
dick.
that mean? What does that mean?
Like I saw that and I laughed.
What
What do you
is
mean bring your dick?
who talks to each other like this? Bring your dick. Where is it? Where is it
And Peter's like,
normally?
oh yeah, like hold on, let me just put
Fuck
it in
yeah,
my
bro.
backpack real quick.
Like, like what?
Like screw it back on. Um so he gets the invite to the party. That's a good segue. And Peter like goes up to his mom and he's like, "Hey, can I borrow the car tonight?" And it's so weird. Like their relationship is so goddamn tense
Yeah, for
because
sure it
his mom
is.
like or Annie is immediately like, "Why? Where are you going?" Like very flatly, which like part of me wonders if it's because that she is going like through like her grief with her mom, but part of me thinks that that's kind of how their relationship is now after what happened with the paint thinner incident.
I mean, yeah, she kind of talks about that with Joan, right? That, like, ever since that happened, they just kind of argue a lot. And
Mm,
his, like, gotcha is the paint thinner thing, which, you know what? If I were
very valid.
16, that would be
Oh,
my
yeah.
gotcha, too.
Exactly.
You know, you're not gonna let me go to this party? Well, you just set me on fire then. It's like,
Why are you trying to kill me, huh?
you
But
want me to sleep in the house? You're not gonna let me sleep with my friend? Why? So you can throw paint thinner on me?
my curfew can't be midnight tonight because you're gonna throw paint thinner on me.
You got plans? Where's it at, huh, Mom?
I know you have it here, Mom. So crazy. He has like a get out of jail free card forever.
For the rest of his life.
Well, tugs on my collar. Doesn't have to really worry about that anymore, I guess. But Annie's like, yeah, go check with your sister and see if she wants to come to this barbecue that's happening at 9 p.m. on a Friday night.
Why the fuck?
Oh.
Genuinely, why the fuck is she making him take his sister? Because
I
first of
don't
all,
know.
she knows what kind of party it is. She's not even pretending that he has her fooled. Second of all,
Because she's like, don't drink.
these kids are like, he's 3 years older than her, which isn't a lot, but when you're in school, 13 is a lot different than 16. Those are two completely different, like, worlds, essentially. I couldn't imagine hanging out with 16-year-olds when I was 13.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been in that situation where I'm the older sibling and my parents have been like, do you want to take your, like, prepubescent sibling along with you? And I'm like, oh, man, really? Like, do I gotta go? I don't even think they're gonna want to go, which Charlie doesn't. She doesn't. She's like, I really don't want to.
She has no fucking interest in this party.
No, because she's like, no, it's okay. I want to stay home. And Annie's like, no, it'll be good for you to be with other kids. I think Annie is just trying to shove them all out the house. I think Annie just wants to be alone, which I don't blame her, but
it's tough because, like, would it be good for Charlie to go out and be with other kids? Sure, her own age.
Yeah, this is not
a high school party that you know people are going to be drinking at because you've said it like 3 times may not be the best environment for Charlie. Also, Charlie, who, like, you guys are constantly having, like, been shown to be checking up on to make sure she's not into trouble or hurting herself or eating things that she shouldn't be. Why are you leaving a 16-year-old boy in charge of that child?
He was set up to fail.
He was, and it's not fair to him.
No. I think...
And for all things considered, he's being a really good sport about it.
Yeah, because he goes, he's like, I'll ask her.
Like, he doesn't throw a fit about taking her at all.
Yeah. Honestly, man, if that were me, I probably would just lie and say she doesn't want to go.
Way better than me. I've been like, man, no.
Yeah, no, hell no. I don't want to bring my kid sister with me to this party. No. But they go and they make their merry way to this party. And man, there's one shot in this that just really... I think it's supposed to... I know it's supposed to be like a foreshadowing shot, but like, who's just taking like a whole like pound of goddamn walnuts and chopping them with a big
that was
butcher
one
knife.
of the things I thought about too. I was just like, she's fucking up those walnuts.
Yeah, she's like, like, holy shit.
Also, what is the music that's playing in this party? Did you hear the music?
Yo. I heard a little bit, but I didn't catch any of the lyrics, but I just feel like it's some bullshit.
I was listening to it a little bit. It was like so like dick and pussy, like ass music. I was like, what are we talking about?
They heard The Weeknd song and they're like, perfect. We're gonna copy this. Put a little spin on it.
It's like, what in the Has-Been Hotel?
Balls. Like, what are we doing here?
This is what I think teenagers listen to at parties. Sex. I was like, okay.
Okay. And everyone has their distinct, legally distinct red Solo cups there.
Yeah.
Very funny how Peter, in his beautiful, like, scooping up bitches move, he goes over to, like, the girl he has a crush on and is like, "Hey, do you want to smoke some weed? I have really good weed." And that worked!
And that worked.
How does that work?
Who fucking knows?
Also, you have your kid's sister behind you. How can you try to scoop up a girl when you have your, like, 13-year-old sister behind
At
you?
this point, like, I'm sorry. Peter should not have been put in that situation to take her. At this point, you
Yes.
don't go to this party.
Yeah, I feel like you go to, like, what? You go to Chuck E. Cheese, you go to McDonald's,
You
go to
drive
the play
around for
place.
an hour and say, lie to mom, and then you go inside.
Exactly. See a movie and then we'll go home. Like, you know what? This movie, like, this party's a bust. Like, we just give up. But, you know, he's also, like, 16 and probably not, his frontal lobe isn't formed enough to, like, think that far ahead.
Yeah, he's not thinking about it because he's a kid. There's a girl he likes. He wants to hang out with her. He sees a chocolate cake and he knows his sister loves chocolate. She's constantly eating
Yeah, she's
it.
constantly eating
He's
chocolate.
doing these things with her best intention at heart. Like, he's
Yeah,
trying to
and
make the best out of the situation that he's in.
I think he's a good kid. I think he's trying his best,
I think
which,
so too.
yeah, it sucks what befalls him.
And to his, like, he does so many things that, like, I think show that he's a good kid. Because his sister comes in, like, during that, like,
They're
when
lighting up their
smoking.
bongs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I don't feel good. And he's not like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, hey,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Like, immediately, like, his, like, alarm bells are going off. I feel like you can, like, he sits up a little bit. He's like, hey, are you okay? Because, like, you can hear her, like, wheezing. And, you know, also in Charlie's defense, too, I think she's eating the cake and she, like, I think starts to realize what's happening. And she does try to fend for herself a little bit at first, which, like, it sucks, kind of, because in reality, she probably should have alerted Peter earlier, but she's a kid too. She doesn't know. You see her, like, trying to, like, drink water and stuff, and she's trying to figure it out herself and doesn't get her brother, I think, until she probably couldn't avoid it, which sucks.
I just thought about this too. In reality, if you're putting a 16-year-old boy in charge of this girl, you give him her EpiPen.
Oh, yeah. They should at least, like,
at a
have
party
something
where
in the
you
car.
It's a barbecue. You don't know what they're serving there. This is a girl
True.
who's had this allergy for years, and they say it during the funeral that they don't have her EpiPen. Why don't you have her EpiPen?
Yeah, that's very true. I feel like in reality, like, if it were a normal family or in most families, they would, like, have it in the car, or, like, have, like, she would have it with her, or someone would have it, like, it would be in more easy reach than it is in this movie.
I mean, speaking of as someone who has an EpiPen, I'm allergic to bees.
Oh,
When I was growing up, it was always in someone's purse. The nurse had
yeah.
my EpiPen in their office,
Mhm.
and there was one in the car.
See, exactly. I feel like it should be an easy access. I have an inhaler and I should probably take it with me, but I don't. But
Well, I don't do that shit anymore. Like, once you're an adult, you stop caring about yourself
if I die, I die.
But
Whatever.
when I was her age, for sure, I always had an
Yeah.
EpiPen nearby, because who knows when she's going to get her hands on food that has nuts in it? Who knows when I could have stepped on a bee or been stung at any point,
Yeah.
being outside.
You have that for the unknown or for an
Yeah.
accident.
And I have the exact same, like, anaphylactic reaction that she does.
Mhm.
That shit happens quickly.
Oh, yeah.
You have to think about that sort of thing. And the fact
It's
that he was set up to fail.
He was set up to fail. I feel so bad for him because, like, you see, like, he right after he figures out what's going on, he's, like, immediately, like, booking it out of the party. Like, he puts her, like, in the car, and he's, like, carrying her, not even, like, letting her walk. He's, like, carrying her. Well, I don't even know if she can at this point because she's, like, struggling, choking to breathe. But he, like, places her in the car, and he's like, all right, we're going to the hospital. I gotta give him props. Like, he knew what to do.
Yeah.
I think he had like the emergency game plan like already play out in his mind. And he's like, "All right, we're going to the hospital. Charlie, just hold on, just hold on." And she's struggling to breathe. She's rolling down the window to try to get some air. And she, the moment in like just like a terrifying moment, you hear like a thud as like a electrical line, power line comes up, and you see nothing else but the end. Like, it's a dark night in the or the headlights of the car. And because like this moment, all it's like been the crazy strings, like so tense music, and then it all just like comes to like a terrifying like quiet and halt.
Yeah.
And see like Peter just sit there, realize what happened. And the sad thing is he just goes home.
You see like shock settle in for him so quick.
Yeah, like his eyes like kind of like flare open a little bit. You see like the whites of his eyes.
Because
I feel
like,
so bad for him.
oh, it's heartbreaking because you can see the moment like survival instinct kicks in, like his shock is protecting him to get him home.
Mm-hmm.
And what can he even do? Like it's
Yeah,
it's happened, it's done.
it's already over that quickly.
And it's just I like you could feel how cold he was, like that chill
Oh yeah.
that overcame him, and like it hurt. Like I've had like the shock take over. I've experienced that where you're just what can you do? You just have to go and sit and just deal with
Mm-hmm.
it somewhere.
Like your body kind of autopilot takes over.
Yeah, it
Like
shuts
you're just kind of
down.
running on instinct. Yep. But I felt like my stomach sink like when I
Oh
saw
yeah.
that.
It's
Also
rough.
it's so rough, but it's so good. And like in like a movie sense that like it's able to make you feel that way because you like all that anxiety of like we gotta go, and like there's so much happening and you're rooting for something good to happen, you're rooting for Peter to save the day, and then it just all like snaps in a moment,
Yeah.
which I think is very real.
Yeah, it totally is. It like it's so much adrenaline
Yes. Hmm.
where he's just like, I have to get there, and there was nothing he could have done about his instincts swerving them away. Like that's
Yeah, there was
you
a
almost
dead
don't have
deer in the
control
way.
over that. Like your
Right.
instinct is to avoid it. That's just going to happen.
Right. Very
And
interesting though that like on the power pillar there was that weird like sigil carved into it that we kind of got like a glance at earlier.
oh yeah, like this moment is, I think, foreshadowed by the bird. That because you remember the bird in Charlie's
Mhm.
classroom that hits the window, and then Charlie takes
Yep.
the scissors and cuts the bird's head off, and you see that woman in the distance waving at Charlie.
Yep. Mhm.
Bit like I like there's no way that that wasn't set up to happen.
Yeah. The destiny kind of kicking in again.
Like I wholeheartedly believe that the deer was put there.
Because it wasn't there beforehand, which I mean like obviously we don't know how long they were at like the party for, but it was also kind of like it looked like a very like grassy area. It wasn't really wooded or anything. So does it really make much sense for a deer to be there?
I don't know. Deer will show up fucking anywhere.
That is true. That is true.
Deer are like rats.
Yeah, true.
But
That totally could have been placed there. You're right though.
I feel like it was because like that woman was there. Maybe not like someone dragged the deer out into the road, but like you said, like that destiny thing, like that deer was there to kill Charlie.
Right. It was inevitable. They couldn't escape it.
Yeah. And if it wasn't that deer, it would have been something else because Charlie needed to die for this story to happen.
Right, for the cards to fall the way they did. Like that
Mm-hmm.
needed to be like the first domino that fell.
Yeah. Charlie had to die. And it sucks that it was put in that it was put in Peter's hands, essentially.
Yeah. That's so rough. And it's
It's
funny. Like in a way, because I feel like when I watched this movie for the first time, I felt like Peter was kind of an asshole, which is very
really.
funny. Yeah, because like I couldn't believe that he just like he drove up home, left his dead sister in the car and just went to bed. I was like, you're not gonna tell anybody about it? But now like I watched this like a little bit like after it first came out. But now like watching it like much more older
Yeah.
and like again for a rewatch, I'm kind of like I don't blame him
I
for not knowing what to do with that and just kind of being in shock. Like
yeah.
what do you do?
He is a kid, and honestly, I can't say I would react any better.
Right.
Like, you don't know how you're going to react in the moment when
That is
something
true.
like that happens.
It's hard to like sometimes when I watch something, I'm expecting someone to have like a logical reaction in an emotional moment.
Yeah.
It's hard though, because you're watching as like the observer and you're like, no, like don't go that way. There's a man with a knife behind the corner. Like,
It's like,
but we're watching this as like the objective viewer and not as the person in the scenario.
yeah, it's like also like kind of putting the onus on Steve and Annie here for a second. They left their 13-year-old with like their 16-year-old in charge of their 13-year-old and then didn't check on either of them after they got
That is
in.
very true. Well, you hear them as like Peter is walking by their bedroom door. You kind of hear them through their bedroom door being like, "Oh, good, they're home." But in my mind, I'm like, you only hear one set of footsteps.
And
You
also
couldn't like get up and say goodnight.
Charlie has like a history of wandering off and sleeping
True.
in the treehouse and like it's weird that neither of them thought to check on at least Charlie
That
even
is
if they
true.
trusted Peter.
Yeah, at the very least, like getting up and like saying goodnight to check on them both, like after they both got in late. I feel like that's some like behavior you do when your like kids are like what? Like 18, 20? Where you're like, oh good, they're home. Good night. Like
Yeah.
it is a little weird considering their ages that they didn't like, all right, glad you're home.
And
Everything go okay? Like tuck you in, like that kind of thing.
I feel like a lot of what happened the way it did because of Annie's indifference to Peter in a way.
Yeah?
Because she again, like they have that weird tense conversation. She puts a lot of responsibility on him to watch Charlie at this party where she knows there are going to be substances that Charlie shouldn't be getting into or
True.
shouldn't be exposed to. And then when
Mhm.
they get home, she puts all of the responsibility on Peter to see that Charlie is home and in bed and doesn't even think to check on her.
That is very true.
I feel like they're putting a lot of responsibility on Peter to kind of parent his little sister.
I didn't think about that, but you're totally right. Like it was on like him to make sure that she goes to bed theoretically
Yeah.
and home safe. Like
And
they didn't even
maybe
like wait in the living room to like double check and see if they both walked through the doors. Their asses were in bed,
mm-hmm.
door closed.
And like maybe I'm over analyzing it and it's like, oh, this is a movie, but like I feel like those are contributing factors to like maybe not their
Yeah.
fault what happened to Charlie happened, but like some like preventatives.
Yeah. And I think you're right though. Like because they didn't even how could they have gone their whole morning because it had to have been some time that passed cuz we see like the light come up and it's earlier or late enough in the day to where Annie says that she's going to go to the art store to pick up some more bullshit from the store.
Yeah.
So enough time has passed to where like Annie's like, "All right, I'm going to head out, like bye." And she like walks out to the car and then happens upon Charlie's body.
Mm-hmm.
But there had to have been enough time. Like, you didn't, like, I don't know, the fact that you hadn't seen Charlie this, like, into the morning or since last night didn't ring alarm bells in your mind.
Like, I don't say it to put blame on Annie and Steve, but like Annie puts a lot of blame on Peter. And
Oh,
she has
yeah.
no problem voicing that to him.
Oh, yeah.
When
We
it
see
is
that
not
later.
any more Peter's fault as much as it is hers. Just,
Right.
it happened.
I really appreciate that scene, which, like, what an iconic monologue. Like, I think Toni Collette did such, like, a great job of acting in that scene where they have that tense dinner, right? I think we might be jumping a little ahead a little bit. But I really appreciate, like, Peter, for one, 'cause while they're sitting at the dinner and mom, like, Annie's being a bitch.
Like,
She's like over there chuckling over her dinner, and he's like, "You got something to say? Just say it to me."
and I feel like that scene is a really good example of what she was telling Joan. Because I feel
Mhm.
like in that moment, everything was tense. She's like, she's being kind of shitty about the fact that her husband cooked a dinner when she's like kind of wrapped up in her own thing, right? And like
Yeah,
they're all grieving. And it's not like
right.
he doesn't make it out like it's a problem that he made dinner while she's having a
No.
tough time or anything. But like right before that, she's working on that miniature of the
Oh,
scene where her like the scene of the accident, and he makes the very reasonable comment, "Hey, don't let Peter see that." Well, it's not about him. Yes, it
yes,
is.
it is. He's
He was
literally
there.
right there. He was the one that lived that moment.
That moment is just as much about Peter.
Right. Also, like, going back a little bit, like that whole scene of where, like, she's like wailing, where she's like, "I just want to die." Like, what, Charlie, Charlie. I don't know. I like, and again, expecting a logical reaction in an emotional time in a movie as like the objective watcher. But I'm just like, how do you not think about your child in that moment who has to listen to you scream like that? How do you not think about it? Because like Peter is just standing in like the hallway. And I feel so bad because like he looks like he's haunting the place too, because he's like shrouded in shadow. All like you don't even like see any of his features. He's just sitting there listening to his mom like wailing. Like,
And
I don't
I
know.
I feel like that entire sequence like after Charlie's death where we see Peter like going through his grief and like you
Mhm.
said like kind of haunting the place a little bit, him like how he's interacting with his friends changing, the reaction he has when he's smoking with them,
Oh yeah.
him getting scared to even go in his house, like where you see like
Mhm.
Annie in the car like watching him go in, like it's pretty obvious. And it
He
should
feels
be
guilty.
obvious to Annie that he already blames himself a lot and he is
Yeah.
already self-punishing in a way.
Oh yeah. Because like he starts like withdrawing from everybody like in his class, and there's like moment like I think there's a really interesting shot later where Peter's sitting in class, and like you see like he's starting to like dissociate, and I think kind of going through that like self-flagellation a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and you see like his eyes like drift up, and you see that he's like looking at like his imaginary like rear view mirror where Charlie's body is.
Yeah.
I think that was such like a cool way to show how he's still like he's not over it. He's still thinking about it.
Yeah,
Which
he's
like
still
how
in the
could he
car.
be? Yeah.
And I think there's obviously a lot to say about like Annie as a character and how she kind of like represents like I guess like the unseen grief that mothers have to go through to like keep things together on their own and everything, and like like this is like I'm scared that it's going to come off like I'm sympathizing with Peter over Annie, but like Peter's the child.
I'm also sympathizing with Peter more than Annie. Cause like I'm thinking about this. It's kind of as I'm digesting it a little bit. She has this line in her very great monologue where she's like, all I do is slave and work and defend you. No, you don't. No,
It's
you
like,
fucking don't.
what are you defending him from in this moment?
Yeah,
Because the
exactly.
thing that he is scared of is that you
It's
blame
you.
him, and you
Yes.
do.
Hmm. Like that whole speech is making his own fear very like you're realizing his fear or like confirming what he has been afraid of this entire time.
And I feel like Peter, during that scene at dinner, where he is kind of egging his mom to give him a reaction, I feel like
Hmm.
that was him searching for like normalcy. That like maybe if they could just argue like they usually do, things will feel better.
Break the tension at least or
Yeah.
something.
Like he just wants her to get out and say it because he knows that she's thinking it.
Right, because she's sitting there like after like I don't even remember what he says. Oh no, he like compliments his dad on the cooking, to
Yeah.
which she like kind of like chuckles or like chuffs at herself. And so Peter's like, fess up, tell me what you're thinking. Which very interesting that that's the kid in the situation trying to like encourage communication. Really
Yeah.
funny to me. Um, but I just you see like Steve, I feel so bad for him,
I
man.
know.
Like you see him like trying to like hold it down because throughout the whole entire when they're like getting into it, you see like it's very interesting that Steve is like trying to say, "Hey, like Peter, let it go." Like he's not trying to soothe his wife. He's trying to soothe Peter in that moment because I feel like he must think that Annie is just kind of out of control, which you see that later when he's like trying to like email the psychiatry place and be like, "Hey, I think Annie's in the middle of a psychotic breakdown. I don't know what to do."
Steve is in a really tough spot because
Yes.
Steve is between like his grieving wife who and like the thing that they share is that they just lost their daughter, but he also has his son, and I think that he's like the only one of the two who is objectively realizing that this also affects Peter. And
Yeah.
he's like, well, I can't just let her attack our son for our daughter dying.
Right. Like there's a moment later, after I think the seance thing though, but Steve calls Annie and is like, "Hey, I'm not gonna let you keep attacking our son or my son." Like I think he removes like Annie completely from that. He's like,
Yeah.
"I'm not letting you hurt my son," which I kind of appreciate. Like at least have
Yeah.
like one parent that's gonna stick up for you.
It's really, it's something I'm trying to be really conscious of. How do I say this? I feel like typically in media we are very very critical of the mother, and
Yes.
I'm trying to be really conscious of that. However,
Yeah.
Annie, sure, she is grieving and she's going through this process and everything, and I can recognize what she symbolizes. However, she is also symbolizing that like like the continuous motion of like
Yes.
that cycle of abuse and grief,
Hmm.
by projecting like all of this and like all of her failings onto Peter. So it's like, yeah, like I'm trying to be conscious of the fact of like, am I attacking her just because she is a grieving mother? No, I'm attacking her because she's
No.
kind of being a dick.
Yeah, I
So it's just like something I'm trying to be conscious
she's
of, but
based.
I'm also
She's
like,
based.
hmm.
But I think you're right though. I don't think we're attacking like we're not attacking her grief. I think we're like mainly criticizing her mothering skills. Maybe. Which like I guess like when you are grieving, of course, you're kind of it's hard, right? So you can't like expect your like to be like up to par or to be able to give your all in parenting all the time when you're grieving. It's complicated.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She's definitely perpetuating the cycle and I don't not she's thinking very emotionally and like kind of leaving the parenting all to Steve.
Yeah, and I think that everything that has happened to this point, to the point of the dinner, are
Hmm.
things that could and do happen when an entire family is going through something. And that
Right.
could be forgiven later after the grief has passed. But that's up to Peter. You know what I mean? Like, these are
Hmm.
things that I think do happen and can be worked past. But, like, it has gotten to a point where it's going to have to be, like, Peter that makes the decision to forgive her, I guess.
Hmm.
And I feel like this is mirroring. Like, I feel like her relationship with Peter, even though we never see her interact with her mother, is a mirror to her relationship with her mother.
Yeah, we can kind of like go through the looking glass or like the rewind machine and kind of like see it play out in
Yeah.
that way. Hmm. I didn't think about that, but I think you're right.
I think we're still in the realm of reality here a bit.
It hasn't gone into complete chaos just quite yet.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Annie says during that whole monologue, she's like, if only something could have come of this, if you could have just apologized.
Yeah, that was gonna be the thing I was gonna say, and then I was gonna like,
Hmm.
but also Annie's being a dick.
Yeah. Yes.
Because how dare you like stand in front of like the father and like the older brother and say that I wish that something productive would have come out of this child's death. Like,
That's
how
insane.
dare you say that in front of them? That's crazy.
Like,
And I get like grief is complex and you feel the things that you feel and no feeling is wrong or anything, but there are things that you don't say, especially to the other two involved who are grieving.
right.
That is a support group thought. That's not a for your family thought, which is the entire reason you were going to the support group.
Exactly. That that was an inside thought for now that you could have expounded upon later.
That's a therapy
during, like,
thought. That's not for
yes.
them.
That's not for them.
Christ.
Because, like, I don't know. Steve cooked the dinner, and I feel like it could have been just as easy for Peter to, like, take his plate and go to his room. I think he's trying in his own way, but he's also,
Absolutely.
16.
He just wants things to be normal.
Yeah, and I don't blame him because, like, what they went from one, like, shell shock, grandma's dead, and it seems like grandma had lived with them for a little bit, so that probably had to have sucked even if they weren't very close. And obviously, their mom has been crazy. Their mom has been crazy following that, and then this happens. So it hasn't been normal for a very long time.
Yeah. Oh, God. The entire dinner scene, there's so much in it. There's so
I
much
like
to unpack there. It's such a good scene.
it is so good. It's so good. I like And I love too how like Annie like she says her piece and it's very almost similar to what she does like at like the grieving counseling group. She like vomits all her guts out and then she's the one that gets to walk away
Mm-hmm.
and leaves just everybody else just sitting there with all of that. And I feel so bad for Steve because he like tries to like he sits there like soothes his son. And he's like, "All right, I guess I'm gonna eat this dinner that I cooked." And then he's not even hungry anymore. He like you see him like just drop his like utensils and like hold his head in his hands. Because like what else can you do? Like I wouldn't have an appetite after that shit either.
I really liked him reaching out to Peter. I thought that
Me
was a very
too.
nice, kind of subtle. I liked it.
I liked it too because like when Peter like first like tries to compliment his dad on the meal, his dad is like, "Yeah, thanks, bud." Like he's trying so hard.
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Duh."
It almost
Can't you
felt
see he's
like
trying?
when Annie reacted that way, I think the immediate thought I have was like, that was like the little huff felt very spiteful and almost like
Mhm.
jealous. Like like
Yeah?
jealous that Peter was recognizing his father.
Hmm.
Cause she made like a big deal about the fact that she was going to cook, and Steve was like, I already did it.
Yeah, you're right.
It felt like one of those like, well, why don't you appreciate me when I cook type of things. That's how I
Hmm.
read it. It like felt very spiteful.
I think you're right. I kind of, like, took it more as, like, you're saying, like, something nice to your father, but, like, when's the last time you said not something nice to me kind
Well,
of
yeah,
thing, but it
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
mean.
Mhm. Which, like, hey,
Oh,
if you want compliments, do something nice for your son. Which, like, it has to be hard, right? Because the reason why your daughter isn't here, and the root of it is like truly your fault, but he was the last one with her, so I can kind of see why she might kind of blame him, maybe, but also like uh, again, asking like logical, rational thought, like you're the one that put them both in that situation. So I really, again, like we said, I don't think that it is her like his fault at all. But
I mean, Peter calls her on that. He's like, well, she didn't
yes,
even want to go.
I really appreciate that, like him standing up to her
Yeah.
like a lot. I think it was very gutsy for him to do.
And I feel like a surface level like read of that could have been like, oh, well, they're both being spiteful at each other. And it's like, well, like he's defending himself because she just
Yeah.
attacked him very viciously.
Yeah, because and like he like her big whole thing is like no one admits to anything that they've done.
It's like,
To which
well,
Peter says, "Well, what about you?"
girl with the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's ask the audience. Like
But
that's
the dinner, I love the dinner scene so much.
it's awesome. It's so good.
I think it's a mark of like really good storytelling to have a scene that inspires so much conversation and potentially so much argument.
Right?
Because there are a million different ways that like different people could read that scene.
Let us know in the comments below what you
Yeah.
think. But yeah.
This is
And
like
then
right
after
before the seance thing, right? With Joan.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I think after that, I think Annie has to feel ostracized, but she kind of did it to herself.
Yeah.
She did it to herself.
She meets up with Joan a second time
She's
because
outside of the art store,
yeah.
and miraculously Joan is there, not strategically placed at all.
Mm-hmm.
And Joan, I thought it was very interesting how that scene played out because like Annie like is like, oh, like hey, like imagine seeing you here, and then Joan immediately like launches into this big whole performance where it's like, oh my god, like I met this person, this medium who was able to speak with my grandson, and I was able to speak with him again. Also, forgot to mention this before, there's an interesting shot where you see like the house, Annie and Steve's, like the family's house. You see their mailbox and you see
Mm-hmm.
like there's a letter or a pamphlet being slid in for that seance, which we later, I thought that was interesting foreshadow, and also kind of makes it or insinuates again that there's like foul play here because who slid that into the mailbox, you know?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me how that scene when Joan is trying to convince Annie of everything, Annie is like trying to escape from that conversation so bad. She's like looking around at everything, like trying to like scoot away, but like Joan keeps on like grabbing her like arms. It's like, listen to me, you have to listen. This miraculous, beautiful thing only like sold today to like
Yeah.
infomercial style. Like you won't believe your eyes. And I think Joan finally sells Annie on this, which like by the way, how does I wonder like what Steve has to think of this, because I'm assuming like she was just going out like on like a like because she was going out like on her store run. Does he not get worried that she's just like randomly gone longer than I wonder how that worked.
I feel like it seems like he's pretty used to her being just kind of gone inexplicably for hours at a
Mm,
time because she goes to the movies a
quote
lot.
unquote. Yeah, you're right. Um, but Annie goes over to Joan's house, and I think is this time where she like recognizes like the welcome mat, and she's like, "Oh, my mom did some embroidery just like this."
No, I think that was the first time.
I think that was the first time. You're right. But Joan is like, "Dude, watch this."
Yeah.
like like all the lights turn out. She has like one single candle, and she's like, "All right, we're gonna talk to my grandson."
She starts doing the cup
And
song.
it's just I bought the ticket for the um but she like does this whole like seance with like a glass cup where it's like, oh, if you can hear me, like if you say yes, move it to the left, no, move it to the right. And it's just like a whirlwind of just I don't even know. And it's very funny too, because as this whole scene is playing out, Annie like tries to like check like underneath the desk or the table to try to see if there's like any
Yeah.
Hollywood magic,
Because what
which
the
is
fuck?
very funny, right? We see that same thing, like Steve does that same thing later when Annie tries to do this at her own house.
Yeah.
Which have my hands up. Trying to do a seance if like you found out that like your mom was doing some weird shit because that was after she looked at her photo album, right? I don't know if that was the best decision. I mean, obviously it wasn't, but like,
No, it was before the photo album.
oh, it was before? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, so that all happens at Joan's house, and obviously Annie is like, "Hey, man, we gotta stop. This is too much for me," and I think dips out of there
Yeah.
right after. Oh, but as she's trying to leave, Joan miraculously has like all like the incantation that she needs to say, and gives the candle to Annie, and was like, "Hey, if you want to try to do this at home with your own daughter, like here you go."
Gives me
And
the printed WikiHow page. Yeah.
right, she had that shit like in her top drawer. She's like easy access, ready to go. Um, and then I'm trying to remember how like Annie comes to the logical conclusion of like this is what she should do at her house.
I don't think there is one. I think she
Did
just
she just
does
go
it.
for it?
I think she just
Well, I think she does it off screen, right? Because then
Yeah.
afterwards, like she does it and then brings everybody downstairs, which I think right before that she has a nightmare, right? Where we see the moment where she like
Right.
doused them
Oh,
in like paint thinner.
that entire scene is crazy because it's like
Yes.
I don't think it's a flashback. It's just like it just is like a kind of like a using this paint thinner thing as symbolism, I think. But she has this
Hmm.
whole like thing with her son where she was like, I never wanted to be your mother, and I tried to
Which
like
is so crazy.
which like girl, like okay, sure.
That's insane.
There is
I
something to be
guess.
said about like a pregnancy you don't want and being pressured into having children by
Yes.
like generational like yep, we get that. Ooh, very obviously you've let that affect your relationship with your son your entire life.
Oh yeah.
Or his entire life.
Because
Ooh.
also that whole like the scene leading up to it with like all so she's like following she sees this like trail of ants and she like follows a trail of ants to his room and these ants are just like spilling out of like his mouth.
Just like Charlie. The
Just like
scene of like Charlie's head on the side of the road with the ants, like
oh, I hated that. I wonder if it's fire ants, but who cares? It's still
it's
gross.
gross. Yeah.
Um, but I just there's something so powerful about that scene, and man, how it was acted, where Peter's just like wailing, like, "Why did you try to kill me?" Because I feel like that's why he's so upset. Like, why?
She like, well, because she like, she admits like, when we find out that this isn't actually her talking to Peter, it's like a dream or like a
Yes.
vision. And, but
Hmm.
she's like, well, I tried to have a miscarriage. I didn't want to have you. Like, my mom kept pressuring me to have a child. And she
I
was
never
like, but I
felt like a
love
mother.
you. But like,
Yes.
and it's like, okay, that like, yep. That's a very real struggle that like some people, but like, this is insane.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. That whole thing is crazy. Her like spewing like I never wanted you. Insane. How do you
And
I mean, I know it's not real, like, cuz it ended up just being like a vision or a dream, but like so that's nuts. That's cuckoo to say.
and
And
the
not
thing
think about
is,
the implication. Yeah, sorry.
well, the thing is, I for a moment I thought that because we get faked out of like her waking up the first time with the ants, and then
Yes.
like we think that it's like her and her son like talking to each other.
Mhm.
That felt so in character for her to blurt and say that I didn't doubt it for a second.
Right. Cuz she had a history this whole entire movie just blurting out and spilling her guts.
And again, like that is something that happens where women are like pressured to have children and like
Of
maybe
course.
they didn't want them and like and it has very obviously affected her relationship with Peter, like knowing that she didn't want him. And
Mhm.
but Peter didn't ask for that. Like Peter didn't like this isn't it's I feel like it's still a little bit of her like maybe blaming Peter
Oh yeah.
because it's like, well, I never wanted to have you, but like
I didn't want to be
almost like
born. Like,
expecting him to make up for it.
yeah. Kind of
And
like make up the difference in a weird way or
then the paint thinner or not the paint, well, yeah, the paint thinner thing happens, but she's like, I feel like this is another moment where she's justifying it to herself. She was like, well, no, I loved you so much, I was trying to save you, like protect you from her.
hmm.
And I know like we're in the confines of like this like magic and like curse like and cult overtone for the film and everything,
Mhm.
but clearly no contact worked once.
Yeah.
She is behaving as if she has no agency outside of her mother in a way.
Yeah. I wonder if like it has to be like her mom because she obviously has some like troubled past with her own mom. If like her mom is maybe the source of like her like waking nightmares because of that weird trauma that she has with her own mom.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still she had like Annie has her own onus in that
Yeah.
because it was like she can't just blame it on her mom. But that whole scene was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We got like two like crazy scenes back to back, really.
Yeah.
I kind of appreciate this movie for that because I feel like it it doesn't really slog or there's not really a lot of downtime. I feel like it has a good pacing, I feel like.
Yeah.
But she tries to summon Charlie. Oh yeah, because no, after that, after she has that nightmare, she by the way just like goes up right into Peter's face. In reality, like right
Yeah.
after we get like those three jump scares or like fake outs, if I just had my mom whisper like an inch away from my face, I would poop myself in
Yeah,
bed.
that's scary.
That was
I
so
don't
awful.
I don't like being woken up like that. Cuz I have that happen sometimes where I'll be like half awake and like like someone
Hmm.
will be in the room or they'll come into the room just like
Yep.
and I'm like, "Ah!" I scream.
My
I
my
scream right in their
mom,
face when that
I don't
happens, and
blame
I feel
you.
bad every time it happens because I'm like, but I'm like, why are you doing that?
My mom used to wake me up by just opening the door and staring at me.
What the fuck?
Shit's Like, she would just, like, open the door, and I'd just, like, feel her eyeballs on me, and that would be what woke me up. I don't have an anxiety disorder, I'm fine.
We gotta cut that.
And then she covered me in paint thinner.
Did you?
Anyway.
Oh my god.
She, like this is the beginning of the beginning of the spiral, I feel like, for Annie,
Yeah.
because Annie,
Yeah.
"Come on, guys, we have to do this, everyone, hold hands together," and I feel like you can see Steve throughout that whole time being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
girl, you're not right, something is wrong." Um, but they hold hands, and she, like, does the glass trick, and that motherfucker scoots all the way across that table, and Steve, once again, like I think I talked about earlier, he, like, looks underneath the table to check for any Hollywood magic, and there's nothing there. Um, and Steve is very skeptical about it, obviously,
Yeah.
to which Annie's like, "No, look at that, like, her sketchbook, Charlie's been drawing in this sketchbook this entire time." Um Everyone just kind of like gives up. Oh, and poor man, I just feel for Peter throughout this whole time because he starts like obviously becoming very spooked because this is a lot.
Yeah.
Also, imagining having to like go back to like high school.
You have to wake up at like 6 a.m. the next day and be in fucking calculus.
Right? And you have to go learn about Hamlet and calculus. And then your mom is doing this bullshit at 2 a.m. trying to bring back your dead sister. Oh, I would lose it.
Yeah,
Imagine
I would not
having your mom
last
jump
long.
scare you with like paint thinner and then having to go back to high school the next day. And everyone's around you talking about Has Been Hotel. And you're like, my mom just set me on
I
fire.
had to take a shower to wash paint thinner off me this morning.
Oh my god. Peter.
And someone's like, what's that smell?
What that melt? Um But then everyone kind of gives up and goes to bed. And though I think that's when Annie's like, you know what? Fuck it. And she like tries to burn the book. Which like,
Sure.
again, if you know that's like that's the tether to the spirit, I feel like that's not in your best interest because like she tries to light that thing on fire, which it ends up lighting Annie on fire.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, I'm just built different. I wouldn't try to bring back my dead daughter through a seance. Maybe I've just been built different.
I feel like one of the things that like the movie is trying to get across is like the dangers of not like letting go and not like you know what I mean? Like not
Yeah.
like not reaching that final stage of acceptance.
Yeah, like all the cycles of grief. Yeah. Or stages of grief, sorry.
Because she just won't let go. She won't let go to her past, like with her mom, and like move forward. And like she won't let go to the resentment she has for Peter. She won't let go of the fact that like some way to bring her daughter back. Like she just holds on to all of this.
It's like festering because infected because she's like has it so like tightly gripped in her hands. She doesn't want to let it go. Then after this, it just the spiral continues.
It gets real Looney Tunes after this.
It gets real Looney Tunes after this because we trying to think of what happens next. Peter just has to go to school the next day.
Yep.
And he's just sitting in there, and I don't even remember what the lecture is about. I don't even think we really hear it because he's like dissociating again. And at this point, he like starts like seizing or becomes possessed, I think. And like his like face is just wrenched and like his hand shoots up. And it's very interesting how his teacher's like, "Oh, Peter, do you have something to say?" And then everyone's like, "Oh shit." Like, after a little while. Oh no, something is terribly wrong. And then he like flings himself onto his desk. That the physicality or like the physical acting for that was so good because it really did look like he was possessed. And I just really appreciate, I feel like sometimes there are some actors where they're very focused on like how presentable or like how
Mm.
pretty
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic they look in a scene. And I
Very
don't know
TikTok
the,
acting.
hmm I don't remember that guy's name, but he's not afraid to drool. He's not afraid to like fling himself around,
Oh yeah.
scream. He like really got into it. And I really, really appreciate it because like after he like kind of regains like um what's the word for that? Composure of himself, and he like kind of like pushes himself back from his desk, and he's just obviously like losing his mind screaming, which that sucks. In the middle of a high school classroom, they're
Oh
going to
my
be talking
god.
about you for weeks.
Oh my god, right?
um
They're never letting that go.
they're never letting that down, brother.
Remember when you had a seizure at your desk?
That was crazy. Remember that?
It's like, well, no, I don't quite remember it clearly.
I wasn't really there. um but he then I think the school tries to call the house. And I think it's at this point that Annie is outside and she's kind of put a little bit of the pieces together with the scrapbook, right?
Yeah, she like at the same because Steve is the one who answers the phone and he goes to get his
Yes.
son. And this is the
Hmm.
second time he's had to get him from school. Like the first time it was like a panic attack, I think. But like this time he's
Hmm.
actually like Peter's actually hurt himself. So
Yes.
he goes to
Because I
pick
think,
him up from school and at the same time Annie is like piecing stuff together with the scrapbook and stuff.
yes.
That's
Because, like,
also when she discovers that body in the
oh,
attic.
God. I really like it too because I think the first time that they come home, like both Steve and Peter, they come in the house and Steve's like, "Oh my God, what's that smell?"
That
So it's
smell.
been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then Annie goes upstairs to the attic and you see like I really like the shot for that because we're kind of viewing it from the opposite end of the hallway so we can see like the attic door fall down and you just see like this like
Swarm.
buffet of like flies
Flies,
come down. It's
yeah.
gross.
I don't remember when I learned this, but
Hmm.
like I saw all those flies come down and I was like, there's a body up there. Because I think I
Hmm.
remember, I think it must have been like an uncle or something. This is like, I feel like this is a
Hold
universal
on, I'm
experience, like
scared.
weird uncle
Yes.
ball, like weird uncle advice.
Yeah.
Because an uncle, I think I remember one time when I was very young, he was like, if you ever see a bunch of flies stuck to a window from the inside, don't go in because there's a body in there. And that like
I
was
feel
one of
like
those
my
things
uncle said
that's
something like that
yeah,
too.
right? Like that was one of those things that stuck with me for years because I was like, that was such a weird thing to say to me.
What? That's totally an uncle thing to say. Just like
Isn't
some
it?
weird bullshit.
He was like, if you ever see like a window coated with flies from the inside, don't go in, call the police because there's a body in there.
You're 8. Like, okay.
Like, all right, and that's like I learned that lesson that stuck with me. But now,
I'm
anytime that there's
4.
something like that in a movie, I'm like, there's a body. I know what it
You're
is.
whoop whoop. There's a body in there.
Mm-hmm.
But she like ascends the stairs to find like her decapitated mother's body in there, with that weird awe sigil on the wall. And she's piecing this all together as like her husband and her child are getting home. Oh, and she like meets them outside. No,
Yeah, she meets him
because like
outside.
she like goes outside. Um, she goes up in the attic, then goes downstairs, and I think she was like looking at something in the treehouse too. I think,
I
or
don't quite
I could be
remember.
misremembering. But I just remember there's like that shot of her with the scrapbook, and it's like raining outside. Anyway, she like meets them outside, and she's like freaking out, which is very funny because I think this is like the first time we like see her like fret over Peter at all.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, what happened to him? And man, I feel so bad. But if I were Steve, I'd just be like, just stop,
Girl.
girl. Enough.
Also, like this is grounding back to that first time that Peter goes home from school,
Hmm.
where Steve calls her and was like, "I have to protect my son." Because that's
Yes.
what that conversation was. She immediately
Yes.
gets defensive because she was like, "I don't sleepwalk anymore." It's like, girl, nobody said anything about that.
She's feeling insecure.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, at that point, is that when she like smashes all her shit?
Mm-hmm.
All her minis?
Yeah. Real productive.
Real productive. Months of work, like such like detailed, tiny work gone in an instant. But you know what one she kept? She kept that mini of her daughter's death in the background because you can see that's perfectly intact back there. She didn't touch that.
That's
Mm.
that's such a bizarre thing to have in the house.
It is.
Because like regardless if that's like your grieving process to like make art and go through the like nobody can tell you that you can't make art about your grief, but your kid's in the house. And this is presumably
Right.
like some Steve said, like don't let Peter see that. Like, and she just doesn't care at all about the way that it would affect Peter.
Mm. That's crazy. I don't know how she even like a mother like motherhood aside, like thinking about that like empathetically, like human to human,
Yeah.
you know? Like removing like the personal relationship out of it. Like if it were like another like a stranger, do you get what I'm trying to say? I feel like I'm
No,
not saying it very well.
I totally get what you're trying to say. Like, it's just like, regardless of if that's her son, that is an insensitive thing to do.
Yes, exactly.
Regardless of if, like, I never wanted to be a mother anyway, well, it's still another human being. So.
Mm. But we're continuing our spiral. Poor Peter broke his nose, and they're like carrying him from the car up to his bedroom. Which like he just like misses out like on a whole like plot development.
Yeah.
He's just like zonked out after a long day of bashing his nose into his desk.
That's what I do
But
every day
Annie's
at
like,
work.
yep, at the nose breaking factory.
Yeah, me at the nose breaking factory.
Hope they don't break my nose today. But Annie just doesn't let up. She's like, we have to burn this. We have to burn this book. We have to do it, please. And it's really interesting because really you see Steve throughout this whole time. He's trying to be supportive.
Yeah.
And he like he's going along with it. Like, we have to do this so like there's a bad spirit in the blah, blah, blah. And then at one point like Steve just goes, I can't let you do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't go along with this. I'm not going to let you continue to do this. Which I think if it weren't for the paranormal bullshit that's happening, I think that would have been like a good like stopping point to Annie's spiral. Like, hey, I can't let you continue in this way because it's like driving everybody apart. Like
Yeah,
we have to,
because
yeah,
at this point we've already seen him like make the decision or at least go through the motions of like potentially having her admitted because he thinks that she's becoming a danger to herself and to their
yeah.
son.
Like when he sends out or he's like drafting that email. Like I think she's in the middle of something.
Also, one of the other things that I wanted to bring up about Steve is Steve on the drive home from getting Peter. Steve almost runs a red light. And he hits on the brakes really quick and there's like this moment where you're just watching him and I feel like in that moment something kind of clicks for Steve about how easy it was to almost get in that accident. And I feel like he has this moment of like kind of seeing Peter in a really
I didn't
real
think
way
about
in that moment of like I almost did the exact same thing that Peter did.
Oh man.
And it was a total accident. And you just see him have that little breakdown and I felt like that was a really good scene.
Yeah.
For him and Peter's relationship. I really liked it.
I didn't think about it that way, but I like that. I kind of like took it as like he's almost running that red light because he's been just like running ragged like, because he's been up all night with like his wife bullshit with this seance, not able to get any sleep because we see him like take sleeping pills at one point.
Mm-hmm.
He's like not getting any sleep, so I feel like he sees himself doing that little mistake and he's like, oh man, I'm almost putting like my family at risk too.
Yeah.
And it kind of like all like hits him all at once, like how exhausted he is. But I think I like the idea that he's able to like kind of see from Peter's point of view at that moment. He's really good dad.
Yeah.
Shame he gets barbecued later.
Yeah, shame he gets barbecued.
But he's like, burn the sketch. Okay. And then we go back to the barbecuing.
Speaking of.
Yeah, because he like makes his final stand. He's like, I can't let you do this, and you're the one who desecrated that grave, aren't you?
Completely fair, like,
Yes.
conclusion for him to come to, but too.
Absolutely, yes, totally logical conclusion because she's just been losing her her mind. Because she's like, we have to do this and bring it up the sketchbook and talking about like a random friend that I don't know who you're talking about. Girl, you are crazy. This is all you're doing, isn't it? But then I think Annie takes it upon herself to throw the sketchbook in the fire, to which Steve then barbecues.
Up in flames.
Up in flames. We see the iconic moment where she like the slate button. I can't think of that scene any other way else now. Because like I know that's like supposed to be like her getting depressed or not depressed, possessed. But like she just like keep imagining that edit. She walks in and like she gets like lashes, full blowout lips, everything.
There's a lot of moments after this point that do kind of make me laugh a little bit. I don't think they're supposed to, but like right after.
Is it the one where she's banging her head?
No, I actually thought that was legitimately pretty scary.
Oh shit!
I was talking about when Peter wakes up and you see her like float out of the room in the background.
Oh yeah,
that made me laugh.
It's me leaving the Discord call without saying bye.
I also like her floating up into the treehouse. Also made me.
Oh my god, that shit scared me when I first saw it. That made you laugh. That's so.
That made me laugh. But I thought the chase up the stairs and the headbanging, I thought those were legitimately very scary.
I thought there's like a scene where like, man, poor Peter has just like lost like I said earlier, he like missed out on like crazy development happening downstairs. The plot has been moving out without you, brother. He goes downstairs and there's a beautiful shot where like you see him seeing his dad's barbecued body and you see her in like the background, like very like faded, out of focus, and she's just like hanging up there like Spider-Man. I thought that was so scary but so cool.
I thought that was kind of funny too.
Cause she's just like,
yeah.
What's your problem?
Like, I really liked him turning and seeing that guy in the door. I thought that was really scary because that's like my biggest fear. That's like what I think is going to happen every time like
God, that's so real.
is like dimly lit. But
yeah,
I couldn't help but have a moment where I was like, who the fuck is that?
I
didn't realize we're not supposed to know him. I was like, who is that?
Well, because there's that very cool scene where I really like towards the end of the movie where we kind of get those like weird, very like zoomed out, distended shots of like the house, and it like flips from like day to night.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cool transition that happens right before shit goes bananas, where there's like it goes from day to night, and you just see like naked old people like littered everywhere.
I was like,
naked old people as far as the eye can see.
I was like, who are these people? Peter like throwing himself out the attic window. It's not funny, but it's like that reaction to seeing old naked people.
Oh yeah. Very valid.
Like, me too, man.
Yeah. Also really like it. naked old man, like, hiding in the hallway, just, like, smiling a little bit, like,
Get
that
out of
smile off your
here.
face. Get
Get
out
out
of
of here,
here.
Grandpa.
I also have that
Gross.
same fear happening because at the Hell House, we have a, like, sliding glass door, and sometimes we have, like, a curtain over it. Sometimes I forget to, like, pull it closed, and I'm always worried I'm gonna, like, look outside one day and just see someone, like, staring on the other side of the glass.
Is it that I swear to God, I get so scared
Yes.
about that sort of thing. The idea of
It's
someone
real,
like
it's
looking
real.
in through the window from outside is my biggest fear.
Mhm. Hate that. Hate that so much.
I hate that like I have probably been that person to somebody else though. Because
The
sometimes
haunt.
well sometimes I'll like go on a walk or something at night and like I don't mean to, but like if there's a window open, I do kind of look. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm
Oh my
not
god.
thinking about it, but I've probably been that to somebody else.
There's someone in, like, our neighborhood who they, for some reason, have, like, their TV set up in their garage.
Okay.
And sometimes, like, I'll be driving by and, like, cause they have, like, their garage, like, kind of, like, a little down a little bit so you can still kind of see what they're watching on TV, and sometimes I'll be driving past and they'll just be watching Dragon Ball, like, on their biggest fuck TV, and I feel bad, but sometimes I catch myself slowing down. I'm like, "Hey, what arc are you watching right now?" Like, I can
Like what's on, man?
yeah, yeah,
What we
can you
watching?
turn it up? I wanna see. What's Goku doing?
Put the
Like,
subtitles on.
yeah. So they probably see they hear this, like, car, like, slowing down outside their house. It's probably scary as hell.
I love the idea of that. The just like haunting people or just being nosy.
Yeah, like, what you doing?" See, we're not haunting you guys. We're just we're wondering what you're doing.
What you got in your house?
What you got? What's in the room? Tell me what is in the room. Um, but yeah, the crazy epic chase scene happens.
That chase scene's so scary.
It is
Her
because
going up
it's
the
like
stairs like that, that's so fucking scary.
it was like animalistic. It was crazy. And then he like flees up the attic, which I don't know why that's like his first thought, but I guess like I don't know. The stairs were still down still too, so maybe that's why. But like she's like just throwing herself on the other side of that door. And I feel so bad for Peter because he's like, "Mom, stop, please."
I
Like begging with
know.
her, trying to reason with her. Um, but he like then hears all the flies, and then he kind of like starts taking in his surroundings. And I liked watching this scene with subtitles because he's like realizing his surroundings, and his eyes are like kind of like slowly drifting up because we hear this like noise happening in like on the other side of the camera, but the captions they said like meat squelching, and I'm like,
I
squelching is such a gross word.
yeah, that's
That's
nasty.
such a
I also
gross
watched it
word.
with subtitles, so I was wondering what you were gonna say. Yeah. That piano wire thing is also legitimately very scary to me.
Yeah, that scared the shit out of me the first time I watched it, and I could not stop thinking about it. It was like one of those like visuals that like was like burned into my
Mhm.
memory for a long time. Hey, my recommendation, by the way, I was the one that subjected Zombie to this for
Yeah.
her first time.
It's very good. I like Ari Aster stuff. Ari Aster,
Me too.
I feel like this and Midsummer ended in a very similar way.
Yeah.
Like visually, if nothing else. Like it felt
Hmm.
like an Ari Aster ending.
Both of the endings were like kind of mm,
Mm, this
cathartic,
one less
maybe not
so.
really.
This one less so. I
Yes.
totally agree for Midsummer, but I don't know about this
Yes.
one. This one I just kind of felt bad for Peter.
Yeah. Oh. um. But yeah, Annie's hitting the nay nay upstairs, and her head falls off. Oh, which also there's a crazy scene earlier I forgot about, where there's a very cool transition where Peter's in his room and he like hallucinates that Charlie is there,
And her head falls
and
off. Yeah.
her head falls off and it turns into the basketball. That shit's so cool.
That was very cool.
That was so cool. What is it never going to top the salt transition on TikTok? You know what? Never mind. I'll
What?
see myself out. Never mind. If you know,
sometimes
you
we have
know.
sometimes we have conversations and I'm like, I'll be sitting and I'm like, I wonder which one of us is more terminally online. And sometimes it's me and sometimes it's you.
Isn't that fun? We get to trade.
Because like I feel like I'm very terminally online, but I'm like a totally different part of the internet than you sometimes.
I think that's fun. So then we have the really funny scene of Annie's headless body floating its way up to the attic, which I thought was really cool because we kind of like we see kind of foreshadowed earlier in the movie at first when like there's like red lights like blaring on in the treehouse. You're like, what the fuck's going on in there? But it turns out to be like just the space heaters. So like
Mm-hmm.
when we see it kind of in that red weird surreal lighting later on in the movie, we don't like question it as much until we get in there. Which I feel so bad because like Peter's just like, I guess he's like, guess I gotta follow my decapitated mom's corpse into the treehouse, I guess.
Well, this is
He,
after he falls from the window and then that like weird
oh
little
yeah.
ball of light goes into his body. I think it's implied
Hmm.
that Peter dies there and that's Charlie.
I think you're right. Because then when he rises back up again, he like starts his like tongue click
Mm-hmm.
tick. It's a lot of I's and C's. Um, but he gets up, follows his mom's corpse up to the treehouse and finds like everyone like kind of bowing in reverence
40
and
naked old people.
5 million naked old people, 5,000 rats. Um, oh, 5,000 pigeons. I got the reference wrong. Fuck. Um, but there's a bunch of people like bowing in reverence, and he sees like a mannequin with his sister's severed head on top of it, where there's a crown and also looks like a raven in a cage, which is very interesting. I feel like there was a lot of ravens in this movie, not just like the first one that like bashes its head in at like Charlie's school, but she also has like ravens when we see Annie kind of check in on them, and we like kind of see from like the opposite perspective, like in like inside of Charlie's room, we see ravens like above her doorway, which is very interesting.
Definitely a lot of
And,
birds. Definitely a lot of birds. Was
and
it a
like
was it a
nests
raven
on.
that she decapitated or was it a pigeon?
I think it was a pigeon she decapitated. It wasn't a raven. You're right.
But it is a lot of
My bad.
birds.
A lot of birds. And she had like birds' nests on like her little crafting table too.
Mm-hmm.
And like drew that the pigeon with the crown on its head, which she like made that weird toy that popped up again later. I think
Mm-hmm.
we saw it. Was it in the room when Annie tries to go back to Joan's house or Joanne? And she's like, "Hey, shit's going crazy at my house. You gotta help me." But she like finds out that Joanne's house is like completely like vacant except for all those like sheets, the weird sigil, and the pigeon toy.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, yeah. Also pictures of fucking Peter.
Yeah, they like burned out his eyeballs, poor
Like,
guy.
how'd you just class pictures?
Why are you griefing his picture for? Leave him alone. Um, but he, I wonder
Hmm.
because Peter's just sitting there taking everything all in at the very end of the movie. Do you do you think he's been possessed by Charlie in that moment? Well, he does do like the tongue click too. I guess it's implied.
Well, like, this is kind of that, like, do you remember the exposition dump at the beginning? Like, when I said that there was another one that I didn't really like?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Joan's exposition dump at the end of the movie where she basically explains everything, where she's like, oh,
Yeah.
great Paimon, we've corrected your female body and, like, put you in Peter. So, like, this is Charlie, like, in Peter, like,
Yeah. Because she calls him
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah. And it's like she basically explains all of the cult's motivations and stuff at the very end. and I didn't really like it because
Yeah,
I didn't think it felt natural, and I felt like I was like, if you were paying attention, you would know all this.
that is true. It did kind of seem like that dumbed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, give us great fortune and wealth, because you see earlier when Annie's flipping through that like weird the spirituality textbook, you see Paimon like on top of like his dragon hoard of wealth. So it's kind of like assumed
Well, it says like the
like that's
conjurer will get wealth in the book, so it's like,
yes.
so I don't know. I felt like I didn't really like the Joan monologue at the end. I thought that it was uh
A little redundant.
yeah. I thought that it was babying the audience maybe a little.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
We've had this grievance a couple of times with A24 movies where they just kind of baby you and tell you the point of the movie at some point,
Hmm.
kind of banking on you not paying attention.
The Netflix two screens rule in that moment, which
Yeah,
I feel like for the majority, like all up to that point, I don't think the movie was really like all that dumbed down. I feel like it kind
no,
of respected the viewer for the most part, like if not for everything.
I totally agree, which is why it annoyed me so much because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
but like it was it let you figure it out for yourself the entire time. Why this?
I think if the movie had ended, in my mind, it's kind of funny. I don't really, even though this is my second watch, I didn't really remember that monologue happening. For some reason, in my mind, I had my own director's cut where Peter is just like looking out into everybody, and we kind of have like that weird, like isometric view
Mm-hmm.
of like everyone bowing and like the beautiful, weird string music that happens. I thought that was the end. Like where it has like that weird isometric view. I thought it ended after that.
I think it should have been.
I think it should have too.
I don't think that they needed it. Just start
Um,
letting people who don't pay attention drown.
yeah. Let them watch a video essay about this shit after they leave the movie theater. It's fine.
Because guess
They can get
what?
over it.
Those people that you explain that for, they're going to do that anyway because they still don't get it.
Right.
There are probably 15 Hereditary explained videos on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I watched all of them. Because I remember when I first watched this, I was like, that was awesome. I wanna know more about it or watch everything.
That's one of my grievances with like some like film analysis like channels and like videos and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't like it when they're just giving you a play-by-play of the movie without
Yes.
including any of their own thoughts or their own
Yeah.
analysis or like anything like that or any like history about like, well, here's the
Yes.
stuff that was going on in the world that may have influenced the tone and like the message of the movie. Like, and they don't
Hmm.
do any of that. They just give you a play-by-play of what happened in the movie, and I'm like, I watched it. I know.
God, right? That's so real. Like, I want to know what your interpretation is or what you thought about it.
Why are you giving me
Because,
this?
yeah, like, I watched the movie. I don't need you to tell me what happened. I just watched it, which is why I'm here, because I want to know what you think about it.
Because it's like, it's one thing to have one of those for like a TV show. If you want to explain like the plot of a show with 50 seasons in like a
Oh,
two
God,
hour,
Grey's Anatomy.
like in like a 2 hour video, I feel like that's a different thing than like
Oh,
what we're
yeah.
talking about with an hour and a half movie.
Right.
Well, this is like a 2 hour movie, I think, but like still, like a 2 hour
Hmm.
movie, just watch the movie. Not everybody has the
Right?
time or even the care to watch 50 seasons of a show, but they still might want to know what happens.
Yeah, like,
That's different.
it's different watching, like, a Grey's Anatomy analysis versus or, like, a synopsis, like, plot breakdown versus, like, I don't know, something like this where it's only 2 hours. I feel like most people are wanting, like, an interpretation or, like, an analysis, like, an actual, like, paper or something where there's, like, critical thinking,
Yeah.
right? Or they have to, like, they offer their own creative spin and their own thought rather than just, "And then this happened, and then this happened, and this happened." That's not what I'm here for.
I'm just like, I don't fucking like it. What good are you? I don't want to hear the story, but like told in a shittier way by someone
Right?
else. I'm
People
not
listening
here
to
to
this
listen to your
podcast. I'm
fucking
kidding.
campfire stories. Like,
But
I don't know.
I don't know either. I really like this movie though.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I think this movie made me more interested in horror movies in general
Mm.
because of like how it was written. I feel like Ari Aster movies kind of opened my eyes to, or I guess I feel like his movies are very much like a blend of like psychological drama but also like horror in a way like that really interested me. But maybe it's because like I haven't, maybe I need to like plumb the depths of more horror movies. I got to get into the classics and get my hands dirty. But I think it like made me more interested in the genre, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Hereditary is a lot of people's favorite horror movie, I've noticed. I've been reading Chainsaw Man. And like
Hmm.
occasionally in Chainsaw Man some of the episode or some of the chapters, Fujimoto will put like I liked this movie. He likes Hereditary.
Based. He's based.
And I was very tickled when I read that because I was like, we're gonna be talking about that soon.
Hey, I know that.
But like this is
Um,
I feel like after reading like because I just finished part one of Chainsaw Man, I feel like after reading that and then watching this, I'm like this totally seems like a movie like I would like.
cool when you can like see or like kind of like see through like an artist's eyes,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. But oh, also I thought another cool detail. I feel like we don't really talk about it, or I don't think to mention it. The credits. I actually watched the credits for this movie a little bit. I thought there was a cool detail where in like it has like everyone's like names, right? But it's a cool thing where like a letter from the name will be highlighted or in red, and that letter will drop down to the following name, and then to which at that point a different letter of the name would become red and fall down into the like the following name. And I thought it was an interesting way of like showing like the lineage of trauma in in the credits. I forgot that word, even though I just said it earlier. I thought that was a cool way to show it. I've never like I like when things or movies even have details even in the credits.
Oh, that is
I like
cool.
that. Yeah.
I'm really bad about watching credits whenever I'm just streaming stuff at home. I don't typically.
Yeah.
I will sit and
Right.
watch the credits while I'm at a movie theater though.
That I feel like that's different. You're waiting to see who gets into the Avenger. um I feel like like when you have like your credits time at the movie theater, that's like when you're like whoever you're seeing the movie with, you're able to like have your like debrief, right?
Yeah. I also like I also just am a movie nerd, so I do like I like to see like see if I recognize like names from like
Yeah.
crew and staff and stuff like
Hmm.
that. To be like,
It's
oh,
fun.
they got like they bounced around like the lots a little bit. Like, oh, they were everywhere, man.
I want to get
Like
more into that. I
Gaffer.
think that's cool.
And then sometimes they do have like after credits scenes. Horror movies don't tip like not very often at least. Do they have after credit stuff? I feel like that is typically like a Marvel like thing.
I don't know why I'm thinking about this right now, but I remember during like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, Freddy's, which they played the Living Tombstone song during the credits. I
Yeah,
lost
they
my mind.
did.
I pogged so hard. I was there with Miguel and I was like, dude. But at one point they started like playing like the puppet like winding music, and I was like, oh, dude, the puppet's gonna be in the next one.
That's so funny.
I got really excited.
That's really funny. I think that more like horror franchises should start doing that
It's fun. It's fun.
because it is a lot of fun to see like. And I feel like FNAF is the perfect franchise
Oh
to
yeah.
do that because
Mhm.
there's so much bullshit in FNAF.
Oh yeah. There's gonna be some some nerd out there that's gonna recognize the marionette playing music. A wave high.
Oh my god,
Just
Liberty
me.
Chico's gonna be in the next one.
Don't just.
Star Spangled Freddy.
Yes. Liberty Chica. Yes.
I don't even like that I know those.
Yeah. The ARG is weird. We don't talk about that.
I don't
We don't
know.
talk about the app.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, everyone, thank you for coming and watching the season finale of Satanic Panic. That is it for our episode on Hereditary. But don't panic, we have lots of stuff in store coming up.
And we're planning on taking a little break in between season 1 and season 2. Hope you're ready for it. But we do have some other secrets and stuff in store for you. So hope you're looking forward to it.
Yeah. We are going to draw the curtains and say goodnight. Bye bye.
Good night.